All right, everyone. The Democrats want you to believe that Donald Trump, is a homophobe, that he hates gay people, he hates the gay lifestyle. When he sees lesbians, he says that's icky. That's, total bullshit, considering some of the photo shoots that his own wife was involved with. But they want you to believe that Trump is the stereotype is Trump is supposed to be a far right, like regressive Neanderthal, like he wants to take us back to the puritanical times. And so naturally, he hates other races, he hates females, he hates gay people, he hates science, everything under the sun, anything that represents sort of the progressive core, if you can call it that, which you really can't. He's against it. The problem is the Trump admin is actually the most pro LGBT administration in history. Like Obama got called the gay president. It's sort of like, Bubba Bill getting called the first black president because he played the saxophone, which was really, that's a symbol of goddamn 90s fucking racism, everybody. But it was funny at the time. And then Obama comes along. He was called the first gay president. What was his contribution towards gay rights? He stood out of the way and he refused to defend DOMA. That's all he did. And then he flew, of course, the rainbow flag above the White House for a couple of years running for no reason other than to grandstand, because other people, including the first gay presidential candidate from a mainline party was a Republican. The first gay presidential candidate in totality was a libertarian. The Democrats, they've got Pete Buttigieg. Keep that in mind, how fucking funny that is. Anyway, Donald Trump now, he's apparently the intel community in the U.S. is considering cutting off countries that criminalize homosexuality. Now, you've got to draw a line here, because I know some of my fans out there, you're Christian, you're more conservative in the social sense, you don't approve of being gay. Okay, there's a big difference between a nation saying, we will only codify marriages because they're between heterosexual couples, and a nation saying to be gay, to have that proclivity and to state it, is in and of itself a capital crime. There are countries in this world that kill people for that. I think that's highly regrettable. There are countries in the world where you're a second-class citizen if you happen to be a homosexual. I don't understand where this can possibly fit in with what would be a broadly overarching conservative ideology, number one. This certainly doesn't fit in with libertarianism. I know I get called a lolbertarian by some of the Deus Volting types. Do you believe that a government that you yourself feel is fallen and corrupted and run by, the various groups that you don't like, do you believe that they should be given the power to decide that such a situation should be a capital punishment sort of situation? You're essentially handing your government the ability to execute people for any reason that it wants. And that would be, I think, a concern for anyone that has an IQ over 80, regardless of your religious proclivities. That being said, supposedly Trump is a homophobe. He's literally been called this by the Dem establishment. He, 2 years ago already, had started to fund movements to put pressure on especially third world nations to legalize being homosexual. Now, this doesn't mean, this isn't even against like anti-sodomy laws. This is just against people living in a certain lifestyle. You had this in the U.S. There was always a differentiation. Even Christian pastors did this, like I can remember back in the 90s. They'd say, well, it's okay to be gay. Just don't sodomize anyone. Just don't suck a dick. That's sort of what he's going for. He's sort of, and it's very wise to do this. I know that the absolutists on the left would like him to go further and say, well, any country that doesn't enshrine gay marriage, enshrine gay rights of publicly waving a rainbow flag and so forth, we're going to cut them off. If you were to do that, it'd destabilize those countries and backfire. You have to take it one step at a time and move slowly. If you don't move slowly, you don't get progress, you get regress. You get a reactionary movement that'll kick you out of the country and then persecute people twice as much. We've seen this protection of religious minorities, same thing. If you go in and say, well, this group of people, this tribe of 100 people, you must not only codify them, but give them a seat at the table in your government, what happens is that all the fanatics on the other side rise up and fucking slaughter them. It's unfortunate, but that's the way things work. Trump has accomplished more in this particular vein of reasoning than any other U.S. president has. He gets no credit for it whatsoever. 0% credit for something that was never championed. Did Obama ever champion any significant effort in, say, a nation like Saudi Arabia or Qatar or any of these others. Did he ever champion a single effort on behalf of the LGBT so-called community, which really doesn't exist? At this point, it's fractured because it's been taken over by a bunch of post-progressives that don't want equality at all. They just want to dicker around over gender identity and stupid shit like that. Did Obama ever do that? No. Did Bush ever do that? No. Did Clinton ever do that? No. It was a hot potato at the time. Clinton shut up about it because he was fucking smart. He knew better than to raise that specter now in the sort of what we can call modern era. It's modern, until 10 years from now. Trump has taken the fore, and he's run with it. He's a progressive on this issue. It's really funny. And also on transgendered individuals. You'll never remember, because you'll never be reminded of this by the legacy media. Remember the time that Jenner said, wow, I want to use the bathroom in Trump Tower. I want to use the girls' room. And Trump said, yeah, you can use the girls' room. You can use whatever room you want. Who cares? Because he didn't care. He's a big money man. He doesn't give a fuck. And again, I know that there will be some religious people. I've talked about this before, and every time I bring this up, every time I bring up gay rights, some people in my audience, and I respect you and your religious beliefs, but I don't respect, the concept of putting upon people based on that religion, will have a problem with it. Being a straight male, I don't really see a compelling need to care about these things. It's certainly not to the point of empowering the state to chop someone's head off because they happen to like dicks instead of vaginas. No, I don't think that that's acceptable. I'm sorry if you think that that's far left, if you think that that's out there or going to kill Jesus or something, but that's just the way that I feel. I think that that's appropriate. I admire Trump for this because it's a break from his own party. Look, I would think that the Never Trumper movement could be partially based on the fact that he says, well, I don't care if you're gay. Like Mitt Romney was a big, traditional marriage dude when he was running in 2012. Because then it was still like sort of a 50-50 proposition because he's a goddamn fucking coward. He doesn't care either. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars. You think that someone like Mitt Romney gives a fuck if you're gay? He doesn't care if you're gay as long as you're not trying to, fuck him in the ass or something. Until you do that, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about gay marriage or anything like LGBTQ equality or access or whatever. He doesn't care. But he'll make it a campaign issue. The Republicans have been doing this for decades now. They pretend to care. A bunch of people with PhDs and master's degrees. They really care. They went to, usually a normal public college or a private college because they tend to be rich. They absorb the same sort of material that anyone else did. They understand the same history. They're presumably not... Are they violent individuals? Do they want someone to get fucked? Do they want someone to get killed because of their beliefs or because of their actions that harm nobody else? No, usually not. I would like to think that that's not the case. Well, then they're just grandstanding. They're a bunch of opportunists. It happens all the time. It's really funny to see that. So yeah, Trump's a homophobe. He might turn up the pressure on nations to decriminalize being homosexual and say, well, we're not going to share intel with you because, that intel might be misused. Our intel might indicate that a person has gay proclivities and you might chop their head off. So no thanks. I think that's hilarious. Yeah, so much for his opponent's arguments, by the way. That's about all. Peace out.